Well, the housing market has been very busy the past year, but that does not mean it's the best time to buy. To make sense of all this, Chase Wilsey of Wilsey Asset Management is here to discuss home buyers' remorse. There's nothing worse. Chase, good morning. There's nothing worse than that, right?
Oh, no, it's just an awful feeling when you buy the house, you move in, and it's like, I don't really like it here that much.
Oh, it's like this pit in your stomach. You feel. Why is this happening?
So the big thing I'm looking at here, I'm going to attribute most of this to what we call FOMO, or fear of missing out. I think a lot of people right now, seeing the housing market is moving, it's moving. We have a very low supply of houses here in San Diego. A good way to look at this is we have about a 1.8 month supply. That means at the current sales pace, this was in January, how many months would it take to deplete all of the homes on the market? Again, that's at 1.8. Healthy is about 4 to 6 months, so very well below that amount there, meaning low supply. So people are looking, I better get it before it goes. And a lot of times, too, I think people, they put an offer in. I mean, I've heard of people selling their houses in a day because there's offers. It's like, well, I put an offer in on this one, and I didn't get it, so now I want to get this one over here, and I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, there's so many different influences. You mentioned FOMO, but it's like you see, they're the good deals. The rates are great. Should I do it? I should do this because it's a good. How do you differentiate between should and seeing all the FOMO and actually kind of saying, wait a minute, let me take a step back and reassess?
There's so many things I think through when you're actually buying this house because, you're not buying a house for, as you kind of said, one day and it's like, I feel good today, and then tomorrow it's like, I don't know about that. It should, again, be at least a 5-year decision when you're buying a house. The first thing I tell people when you are looking at buying a house, take time on that decision. It's so important to realize. As I said, it's a longer-term decision there. Kind of some things I point out here. Number one, spend time in the area you're moving to. I know, like, for example, if you work down in San Diego, I know a lot of times people aren't commuting right now, but if you do have to start commuting again, you buy a house up in, let's say, Marietta, it's like, I don't think the drive would be that bad.
Right.
All of a sudden, that is a terrible thing that you're going to have to live through. I always recommend spend some time up there. Actually do that commute a few times before you commit to buying it. The second thing I talk about here, too, is actually get an inspection of the house. I've heard of people right now, they're saying, I don't need an inspection. I think the house looks pretty good. They move into it. They find some structural problems with the house. I mean, I heard of one woman, she bought a house, and they had a wasp problem in the backyard. She had young kids, and it was just terrible. If she would have gotten the inspection, that probably wouldn't have occurred. So just some big things to think about there.
Okay, when we're talking about the housing market, are we talking are investors playing a role in this, or is it just like your regular family who wants to get in on these houses? Because I've heard a lot of times, these investors are coming in and they're buying them all up.
Well, I'd say it's a combination of things. I mean, I'd say there's definitely that investment property where, I can get a good rent for that house right now. But there are still also the people that were living in apartments, let's say, and COVID really, I think, has created this fly to, houses and standalone homes because, like, I don't want to be cooped up again.
Sure.
So I'd say it's a combination of both investment properties and single-family homes of family just wanted to live there.
That's a very good point, the cooped up thing, and the people who are in homes are putting more money into their homes because of the same reasoning there. You say also look at the numbers. What do you mean by that in terms of does it make financial sense for me? Can I afford it? And you mentioned it, rent versus owning.
Yeah, so I'm going to say here that you got to always look at the numbers. I mean, being a financial guy, the numbers are so important. But the other reason I point this out is a lot of times I think buying a home is an emotional decision where it should be a financial decision because it's such a large purchase. If you actually take a step back and you start to think about, well, what's the down payment going to be? Oh, that could be $200,000, $300,000, let's say, for a down payment. It's like, oh, my gosh, that might scare some people. Also, don't just think about the mortgage payment on a monthly basis. You do have property taxes. You have the maintenance. You have any fix-up costs that you want to improve upon the home. You have insurance as well. And also, if you do decide to sell the home, you have selling costs or closing costs associated with it. So there's a lot more costs. People oftentimes say, oh, well, my mortgage is X and rent would be Y.
Sure.
That's not to think about it because that's not the whole picture when you actually do buy a house. So I say look at the numbers because I think a lot of times people, if they actually sit back and look at that, it'd be like, I don't know if it is the best time to be buying.
Yep.
And I say renting versus buying. Renting is not as bad as an option as a lot of people make it out to be. For the first thing, you don't have to put down a big down payment so you can invest your money and allow that to grow. Number two, you have a lot more flexibility. I think the housing market is quite expensive right now. We're in what I believe is a seller's market considering how low supply is. So I don't see home prices doing that great over the next few years because they've done so well over the last couple here. So I'd be cautious of price fluctuations. And if you rent, let's say, for a year or two, you have that flexibility to act and actually buy a home that you might like better when the supply increases.
It's a very good point. And if anybody hasn't talked to friends or talked to Chase about the added expenses that come with owning a house, then that's why you mentioned it. It's like a 5-year thing. This is not something that you're going to leave in 6 months or a year. This is a longer commitment, and it does come with its expenses as well.
Absolutely.
Chase, always a pleasure, my friend. Appreciate it.
All right. Talking to you as well.
All right, bud.
Fox 5 Weather, sponsored by